On stage we go.
We are here. Hi,
Welcome to the
Rand.
party, Amanda.
Hi, friends.
Hi, folks. So, I I have been working nonstop, which is unlike me, but not doing chill work at all. And uh, but as a result, I think that SparkToro's had one of its best months in a while, which actually I attribute 99% of to Casey. No
Oh,
offense,
yeah.
but
No,
like
it's absolutely Casey.
it's totally Casey, that new. And Monty, actually.
And
Monty, our
Monty.
designer. I was just chatting with him because we're thinking about using him for Alert Mouse too. Have you guys I'm saying this like you can respond to me. Just pretend that we're having a conversation, everyone. Have you seen this guy, Monty Hayden? He does such wonderful work. I'm going to send you his dribble, even though this is probably not in my interest because now he'll be too busy to do any work for us. Um, but Monty Hayden is the guy who designed the new version of SparkToro, and he's just a wonderful and such an efficient, fast, competent visual UI UX designer. And it's so hard to find people like that.
It's really hard.
Just wild. Like Adam and Nathan and I for Alert Mouse, we were trying to
Mhm.
find somebody else who did this, and we went down all the list because we were like, well, we should be responsible. And when you're trying to find a consultant or an agency or a provider, you're like, well, we should consider multiple potential options. So we tried to build a list. And at the end of it, we were like, well, that's 9 dead ends and Monty. So we reached out to him. He's like, yeah, I'd love to work with you again. It's hard to find reliable, relatively affordable people who do the work that you need. I
Oh my
don't think AI
God.
is going to take jobs. There's too much work and not enough people to do the jobs. I just
Yeah.
don't see AI taking the jobs. I can't. It's,
Oh yeah, it's impossible.
I keep reading about it. Here's my, this is what I truly believe, Amanda. I truly believe that every time the CEO of Anthropic or someone who works on OpenAI or somebody at Google working on Gemini, every single time they say the world needs to get ready because AI is about to take all the jobs. That is just marketing. That is their sales pitch. They are trying to scare people who aren't, especially companies and teams that aren't yet using AI, into using and adopting AI and being scared of not
Mm.
using it because they think that they're going to get disintermediated or destroyed by the companies that do use it well. I think every one of them knows that the last 2,000 years of human history has produced tons of inventions that have removed more labor than AI, and yet the job market has grown every single time. And so I think it is pure marketing. And I think, unfortunately, it is super effing effective. The press loves to cover statements from someone who works in AI saying that jobs are going to go away because of it. And so they found a bell and they're like, oh, dang, I can just ring this bell and then I get more money. So they just keep ringing the bell.
I can
That's
ring this bell and I get more money.
that is my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
I like that
Amanda,
theory.
what brings us together today?
What brings us together? Well, you know what? In a way, it's Casey again. He brings us together. One, is he even here? He probably is not here, like in the chat. Sometimes he lurks in our webinars, like in the chat. And sometimes afterwards, he'll be like, yeah, I was there. I'm like, why didn't you say anything? It's the best. No, but today we are here because of Casey, because of all these. Well, I guess what spurred it was a bunch of these incredible changes in SparkToro. We have like at least 10 new products or features in our tool. And it had me rethinking like the blog post that we have, our audience research guide. And now I'm thinking like, oh, I have to update that now because we have so much stuff, like so much stuff in our product. Yeah, but things that I think will fundamentally change how people do audience research if they do
Huh.
it all. And so one reason I wanted to have this webinar was to be like, hey, we've completely redone the tool. And so I think now is a really good time to revisit audience research as a whole topic and to be like, here's how you do it. And then, by the way, here's how you can use SparkToro to do it. Please forgive me. I'm the VP of marketing at SparkToro. So yeah, I'm going to talk about SparkToro.
Awesome. I love it. And I also think we've put together like our most cogent, cohesive theory of what's happening to the internet. And because of that, you know, the like zero click everything, end of attribution, death of traffic, like all those things combining together, rise of AI, blah, blah, blah. And all those things together equal new world of audience research. So great timing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes when I'm working on the next blog post, or in this case, like this presentation, sometimes I'm kind of like, I feel that sort of analysis paralysis of like, I feel like a lot of this, like the marketing industry, where it's going, our tool, it feels like too big sometimes, or sometimes, I mean, my gosh, Rand knows this better than anybody, that like, I might end up procrastinating where I'm like, got to do that. How about instead I start a podcast first? Or how about instead instead of working on the rest of the new SparkToro like help articles and stuff, how about we do a webinar instead? Like all these things that I think are productive, but might not be the thing that needs to get done now. But trust me, trust me, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
It's going to be great.
This is not chill, and I'm frantic. And
well, Amanda, I got to review the slide deck that you made last night, and I know you all haven't seen it yet, but friends, it's really good. I'm very excited. We should get into it.
We should. And by the way, I want to say my old friend David Yin is in the chat, and I haven't seen him in forever, and I just wanted to say hi. Hi, David. Okay, we will get into it, and friends, I'm kind of nervous, so please be nice. Be nice.
It's just you and me here. There's nobody.
I know.
There's no one to be nervous about.
Yeah, you.
Oh, that's true. Know. I'm very picky.
Yeah. If anyone has ever had to present in front of Rand Fishkin, one, he's mean. He's so mean, and no, he's not. I just get nervous. Okay, and I also forgot how to screen share here. Okay, I promise.
They do change the interface a lot.
Yeah. Okay, I promise I'm about to be like 1% less annoying in like 10 seconds. Okay. All right, friends, before we get started, Rand's like, I don't know that's true.
Well, just 1% is a very small number.
You're a little bit alarmed. All right, so we have our slides going, I think, but before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. First thing is use the chat. So friends, drop your notes, questions, comments directly in the chat. Rand and I try to keep an eye on them, and sometimes we'll try to address questions real time. If you like, drop some questions in the Q&A, just because that helps other people see the questions, and then they can upvote things if they're like, yeah, I really want you to ask that question or answer that question. They can upvote things. It helps us keep track. And then finally, the recording. Are we gonna send the recording? Are we going to send the slides? Yes, we are.
There's a recording? Does Goldcast keep a recording for this?
Yeah, it turns out these things, there's a recording, and we have it, and then you all can have it by way of registering for this webinar. It's pretty exciting. All right. Mo asks, slides feel a little bit small. Ooh, we could change the layout, I think. That is a good idea. Can we change the layout? That's probably better.
Oh, I like that. That's good. Yeah.
There we go.
Excellent suggestion, Mo.
Thank you, Mo. All right, and with that, we will get started. Okay, last thing, seriously, you will get the recording. You will get the slides. The recording or the replay here will be available probably like 10 minutes after this webcast ends. And then we also email it to you probably by end of day today. All right. And friends, thank you for joining us. Looking at the chat now. Joshua, longtime listener, first time caller. Well, thanks for calling in today. All right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you can ask questions in the Q&A anytime. So there's that little Q&A message near the chat, and you can use the chat to chat about things that are going on, but we'll do our best not to be thrown off by the chat. So feel free to use and engage with it. And then Q&A is the place where at the end we will try and answer all the questions related to all the slides and data that we're showing today.
Yeah. Perfect. All right, let's get started. We are going to dive into our audience research masterclass. So it's called a masterclass. I originally had it as like 101, but you know what? This is a masterclass because we're going to talk a lot about the tools you can use, how you can use them, and we're really diving deep into SparkToro. All right, but first, friends, we need to talk about the elephant in the room. What are the biggest problems with audience research? I mean, as a person who does marketing for an audience research company, my point of view is I wish more people knew about it. So that's one problem, wish more people knew about it. But also, I think it's a much bigger systemic problem. So one, there's no universal standard, right? Like if you are doing keyword research, everybody kind of knows what that is, right? Everybody knows, oh, I'm going to use moz or hrefs. I'm going to look for high volume keywords, blah, blah, blah. Like everyone kind of knows what that is. There isn't really a universal standard for what audience research is. And when there's no universal standard, it means it's not clear who owns it. Like I mentioned keyword research. Clearly SEO or content marketing owns that. That's pretty clear cut. But something like audience research where a lot of it, well, it essentially informs your entire marketing strategy. It's not clear who owns it. Like, is it the CMO? Is it the VP? Because it's not just content marketing's problem, and it's not just demand generation's problem. And so when nobody owns audience research, it doesn't get done, right? There's no clear owner. Nobody knows the main purpose of it. And so it's not going to get done. Plus, even if you do get it done, well, what do you do next? Like, you know, all these really interesting things about your audience, about what they're doing online, how they self describe, the podcast they listen to. But then what, right? Every project's action items are different. So having let's just say having a list of all the influential podcasts in your audience, that's going to look a lot different to your PR team versus your content marketing team versus your performance marketing team, right? Like your PR team is thinking, what a great outreach list. Content marketing is thinking, I wonder if I can learn from these podcasts. Maybe that'll inform some of the blog posts that I write. Maybe I can cite these podcasts. And performance marketing is probably thinking, cool, let's do some ad buys on some of these podcasts. But the data is really cool, right? You get a lot of really interesting data when you do really good audience research. But the thing to remember is that it really needs to have real impact. Like you're not looking up cool things for the sake of looking up cool things. Like you need it to have a real impact on your marketing strategy as a whole. All right. And there's also this issue of knowledge of your audience hasn't mattered this much since the pre-internet era. And why? So like, why do we care? Why do we need to do this?
Because it used to be
One,
easy.
it used to be easy, right?
There was like 20 years where Google was growing so fast that you could just put it all into SEO and content or all performance marketing. Facebook and all the social networks growing so fast, you just put it all into social. You didn't have to do research. Like you didn't have to know who's my audience, where are they, how do they behave, blah blah. You just throw money and time at these platforms and get it out. And now, nope.
Nope, not now. And not now, especially in this world in our zero click marketing world, zero click everything, right? We have all the platforms hoarding traffic for themselves. We have Google, especially now with AI mode, right? Like trying to put as much of the insights, all the value directly on their own pages instead of sending out the traffic. And now we have to optimize for all those things, or we could, I don't know. There's also the death of attribution, right? the attribution sources that we had come to know and love are becoming less and less accurate if we're even able to attribute things correctly. Let's just go with it. Decision making is now happening, or now we know especially that it happens off platform, right? Nobody really follows this cohesive customer funnel, right? It's kind of like a customer shit show. I don't know. It's my friend Jessica Jallowit calls it the brand vortex, where it's like it's not so much of this funnel that people get pushed down through. It's this vortex of things that happen in it. It's total chaos. If you're lucky, or if you do your job really well, you can kind of pull people into this vortex. But then they're going to convert when they're ready. They're not going to convert because they thought like, oh, this case study finally met me where I am in my inbox. I'm going to give them the monies. Not how that works.
One of my most embarrassing confessions, Amanda and everybody here, is that for the first 18 months of SparkToro's life, I did demos. Like if you wrote in and you said, hey, I'd like a demo of SparkToro, can you show it to me? Can you show it to my team? I would do those demos. I probably did 4 to 10 a week. And I like to think that I'm a relatively thoughtful and capable person. And it was really interesting to meet a lot of customers and teams. My conversion rate after the first 100 demos, which was like the first 6 months or something, was 2 people signed up for SparkToro. And Casey said, Rand, 5 people are signing up for SparkToro every day who don't get demos. Why are you doing demos? You must be terrible at this. I think you're anti-converting people into buying SparkToro. Like you must be selling them on not purchasing the product. And so what we did after that, and Amanda, you know this because when you joined the team, this was like our protocol, is we stopped doing demos and we said we will not do a demo, just play with the free version like everyone else. Because our basic like insight from this was that if you ask for a demo, it means that you couldn't figure out SparkToro, like it wasn't self-explanatory to you, or the problem that you were having around audience research wasn't acute enough for you to need SparkToro right now. And yep, it's one of those, every time we probably get 2 requests for a demo every day.
Yeah.
And now we just tell everybody like, sorry, no demos. And it seems to be going much better.
It does.
It's the weirdest thing.
No, it's true. When we had, I don't know, I guess maybe I'll say like in the last part of last year where we had more like uncertainty around our tool and while Casey was rebuilding it, like there were just things that were kind of in flux. And the few times or when people would ask for demos, there were a few times that I was like, I don't know. I just felt like I had to do them because I thought like, well, I don't know, maybe this will help something.
Yeah.
And
or like the company who writes in, sometimes the company writing in was so impressive and I like them so much.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh my God, that person or team like wants a demo. I want to talk to them. Like, let's have a conversation.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
But
I had a fascinating conversation with like the Disney people when they wrote in, but actually maybe they did end up buying. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Like they might have been the exception to the rule, but like, a lot of those conversations were great and meaningful, but also didn't sell SparkToro.
Yeah. And maybe one thing I'll say is, one of the little like red flags when people ask for a demo, we'll go back to my first slide, by the way, which is when more and more people join that demo call, like, oh, can I have so-and-so on my team? And then I'm going to add this person and this person. I think they'll benefit greatly from this call. I start to be like, oh, like they're definitely not going to buy. Like the more people that join this call, the worse. And look, the more the merrier usually. And by the way, We do have a conference coming up this fall, Spark Together. The more the
Right.
merrier, seriously.
Right.
Buy a
Yeah.
ticket, please. No, but the more people that would that join the demo call, the more I'm like, oh, this isn't going to work, because they're inviting all these people because there's no clear stakeholder here. Because the person organizing the call is like, great, we can all use it, which makes
Who's
me
the
think,
decision maker?
yeah, no one's going to use it.
Conversely, and this might be advice for all the people in the chat who are like, wait, what is going on with the? Is this good for other SaaS companies? What we did find, though, is that when people sign up and pay and then request hey, could you onboard me? Like, could you walk me through the product? Give us like a demonstration after we've already purchased. Those are great. And those people tend to have high retention and low churn.
Yeah.
And the more on those calls, the merrier, because that means more people from the team are using the product to solve their various problems in their various departments. So you can get a demo with SparkToro, but only if you are already a customer. And then we found that the data suggests that it works really well. It's just the pre-qualification. Anyway, this is all just to say that if you don't know your audience, but both on the broad web, like what's their broad web behavior, but also on stuff like this, what's their selling and buying and usage behavior, decision-making behavior, you're going to have a bad time, right? Like we had a bad 9 months of Rand being incredibly busy selling nothing.
It's true. All right. And our last point here, the last issue is, on that notion of like why all this matters is now the most recent reason is the LLM-ification of how people find things. So this is, going to continue to disrupt the traditional search as we know it, right? Because people are finding products, services, recommendations on these LLMs, right? I know it's still like the overall market share of like Chat GPT and these things is still very low, but among those early adopters, things are changing, right? Like
I think that people finding things through AI is mostly Google. Like it's mostly Google's AI, and it is
the AI overview.
I think more than a third of all Google searches have some AI features in them now. So there you go.
As a user, Rand, how often is that helpful for you?
It's hard to say. I mean, first off, I think marketers, people like us and people who have joined this should be very careful in assuming that their behavior is like anyone else's on the internet. And so I hesitate to give my personal one as though it's reflective of broad behavior, but I find them moderately helpful in the same way that I found the old instant answers program from Google helpful, and not much more.
That makes sense to me. Yeah, I'm finding that it's most helpful for what I call low stakes research, which is research that only affects me and that I can easily verify.
Yeah.
Like I use it for, like I was shopping for a plastic-free water bottle for my toddler. And so that's something that's like, well, that only affects me. I'm not like trying to be the thought leader in water bottles, so it's fine. But it made it that shopping experience was a lot faster for me because I got to see a bunch of options, and then some of them were wrong, like they still contained plastic, the ingredient I didn't want or the material I didn't want, but it was easy for me to just look it up. Like I was like, great, I have this starting point of a list. Now I can just make sure that it's correct or not correct. All right, LLM-ification of things. And oops, I clicked the wrong thing. Sorry. Okay. So more on these zero-click searches. Gosh, so this is a study that we run, or that Rand runs almost every year now, on zero-click searches. This is the most recent one. So last year, Rand did the updated research on what happens after Americans Google things, right? So we know that what happens. I'm like kind of fuzzy on this. About 60% or close to 60% of searches end without a click, right? That's a lot of searches. But then of the clicks that do happen, about a quarter of them go to a Google-owned entity, like YouTube, Maps, Images, right? Some kind of Google property.
That number is climbing. That is the number. That is the number that's climbing.
Could you give us a sneak peek at the new research, or are you not comfortable yet?
I don't. Yeah, I don't have the latest from Datos, but they are gathering it for me right now, so it should be there soon. I heard from Stanislav on their data team, so I should have a new one of these soon.
Yeah. Well, cool. All right. So we know that there are more of these zero-click searches. Oh, I already said these things. About a quarter of them go to like Google-owned entity. A quarter to a third go to Google-owned entities.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the social platforms, right? No links allowed. We know that you can't put links in your Instagram captions, right? Like we have creators who they might type a short link into their Instagram caption, but this assumes that you will remember amzn.mark, like no one's going to type that. TikTok, you can't do that at all, right? That's why you have this increasing trend of creators or people saying on videos, like, you know where to find the link, or you know where to go, because they don't even want to say, go to my link, or like click over here.
Yeah.
And then on LinkedIn, you got people like me, people like Marcella here, who are doing the whole link in the comments below stuff. And even then, I've been feeling like in the recent couple months, I'll say, that even LinkedIn seems to be trying to find ways to crack down on this. But it's tough because if you post the link directly into your post, you're already going to lose reach. Then if you mention the link in your comments, they're going to, downvote you for spam. But really, you're just trying to provide the content that your audience would like to see, and I've been experimenting with this in the recent several weeks of like different ways of doing this. Like for one, like sometimes I'll tell people like, hey, Google the title of this blog post, right? That'll work, right? It works, but that's a lot of friction. Sometimes I'll do link in the comments below, but I've noticed that it seems like LinkedIn's algorithm doesn't like that. Like when I put the link in the comments right away, it's like I have to wait an hour or two. At which point there are many people who are like, hey, lady, where's the link? Please post it. And then most recently, this was for this webinar yesterday, I said like, hey, leave a comment and I'll send you the way to sign up. So I started doing that, which I thought like, this will be an interesting test. And like, on one hand, you could say, well, maybe your content wasn't that good and that's why it didn't perform well. And like, normally I would agree. But in this case, I was seeing that when I first posted my post, I was getting likes and comments. Like it was like a normal influx of things. I had like, I think like 30 likes within half an hour, which is like pretty solid. But then once I started dropping the links into the replies, the reach tanked. Like I think, like I said, I had like 30 likes or so within 30 minutes. If you were to find my post from yesterday, it probably has like 32 likes now. Like I think LinkedIn like was like, hey, I don't know what you're doing, you jamoke. We're taking you out of here. So, point is,
yep, there's only one workaround, and that's have someone else leave the link for you.
Yep. Next time, Rand, I'm just going to ask you to do it.
Yep, that's the cheat code right now.
That's the cheat code. The cheat code is to have Rand Fishkin with his like hundreds of thousands of followers.
LinkedIn is strange. It will show comments I leave to more people than posts that I put up sometimes. And I think, they're all of these social algorithms are just trained around engagement. And one of the things to realize is that when you put a link in a social post, you are naturally going to reduce engagement because some percent of the people are going to leave. And the some percent of the people who are going to leave the post were the most interested people because they clicked it. And so those are the people that would have liked, commented, shared, engaged, viewed. It's the fundamental problem when you're fighting against these algorithms. And this is true on LinkedIn, it's true on Reddit, it's true on Threads, true on Blue Sky. Blue Sky doesn't even have a bias against links, but because a link will take someone off of Blue Sky, you don't get the engagement you were going to otherwise.
Interesting. By the way, I want to say Tyler Adams comment in the chat here. It left. Oh no, it went
Yeah,
away.
that's
Hold
exactly
fast.
right. Be
What
the
did it say?
change.
Yeah, be the
Be
change
the
you want to
change you want to
see.
see.
If you see a post without a link, go drop that link in there for them. All right. Okay, the last one here. I think this is the last one on social. When Elon Musk bought Twitter, or now it's X, and he showed the algorithm, like this showed that, like this little screenshot here shows that posts with links are marked as definite spam vector. So proof that Twitter doesn't like links either. Now, what do I have here? Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah. Back in the day, like the audience research that you had to do, right, in that previous era we were talking about, Amanda, could be done through analytics. Like
yeah,
you really could, because almost every website told you and platform told you which traffic they sent you, where it came from, and if it was Google, they would tell you what keyword they searched for. And so when you wanted to understand the audience of people who were coming to your website or to someone else's website, if you were a consultant or agency, you just looked at access to their analytics and you could see, here are all the websites that they visit. Here's all the searches they perform. Here's the content on my site that they're interested in. Here's how often they come back. Back in the day, like analytics was enough audience research for most of the tactical needs, especially in sort of search and content. Not anymore. Like,
not anymore. And
yeah,
so here we'll use ourselves as an example. So this is from our Google Analytics, and it says that 76% of our visitors are coming from direct. Really? Like these hundreds of thousands of people are going, I'm going to go to SparkToro.com. I don't think so.
nope.
But the truth is, so this was also some research that Rand did, I think it was last year, on dark social and the way traffic is, and the way that these are two different studies, and the way traffic flows around the web. So one, we found that both direct and organic search are hiding tons of true sources that send visits. And
I put this slide in here because I had to double down on this point, Amanda. Branded search, which I bet if you go to your Google Search Console and you look at the percent of all the searches that are for your brand or branded products or your name, if you're a creator or something, you will find that a ton of it, 40%, 50%, maybe 60 or 70, is for terms and phrases that are branded. And Google did nothing to create that demand. And your SEO and your rankings and your content didn't create that demand either. The thing that created that demand was something outside of Google. It frustrates me to no end when people look at their analytics and say, oh, Google's sending most of our traffic, so let's put most of our budget and effort toward Google, without first confirming, are you sure it was Google? Are you sure it wasn't people searching for your brand? Because that's
right,
not Google.
right, you don't get branded search by way of spending on SEM, that's not how you get branded search. Branded search is
Nope.
really just a navigational query where somebody knows where they want to go. So they're going to Google because they're like, I need to get to this website for whatever reason, not because Google told me to.
Yeah. So it's just hiding the true source of refer data, right? Like there was something that nudged the person to search for the brand, but you don't know what it is, and Google is obfuscating it. Obfuscating it?
Yes,
Obfuscating it. That's the word.
obfuscating.
Obfuscating it. Thank you.
All right. So now on that dark social study that I referenced, we know that if any of these social platforms are sending you traffic, your analytics is going to report those visits as direct. So if you happen to get a link from TikTok, like somebody goes to your website by way of TikTok, that referral string is 100% hidden. It's showing as direct traffic. And same with WhatsApp, Discord, Mastodon, Slack, right? Even like 75% of Facebook Messenger messages, DMs on Instagram, even 14% of LinkedIn, the traffic that's coming from LinkedIn, 14% of that is showing up as hidden and marked as
I
direct.
heard this is higher now. I
Now
think
it's higher.
Yeah, we need to redo that study because I think I've heard that the LinkedIn number is higher. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Right.
Yeah.
So now you're thinking that like, oh, we got all this direct traffic, not knowing that it could be any of these, any one of these, or maybe it's multiple, any one of these social platforms. And then finally, in this other study on this is some SparkToro Datos research on the way that traffic flows around the web. The main thing to know here is when you look at the sites that send reversals that send referrals versus received visits. So one way to look at this, or this is how I explain it, Rand, and maybe you'll hate this, and here we go, is like, sure, when you're looking at all the categories of things, search technically does send the most traffic when traffic is being sent, right? If you include branded search, people searching for your brand on Google and clicking through, okay, that's referral traffic. But one thing to know is or to keep in mind, especially as a marketer where your, time, attention, energy is only so finite, where are people actually spending their time online? So while search may be sending some traffic, people aren't hanging out on search. People are mostly, overwhelmingly, hanging out on social networks and productivity channels. And put another way, here, this is the same data put into a pie chart. It's most people are spending time on social productivity apps, which would include like Microsoft Office Suite, Google Business Suite, I think, uh, Dropbox, GitHub, ChatGPT, like that all counts as productivity. Followed by news, e-commerce, and then it's search, right? That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th place. So think now you really have to go where your audience is. How can you get visibility in the social platforms and the news sites or the websites where people are already paying attention? And when you're thinking about where your audience is spending time, one thing to remember is your audience doesn't always equal your customer, right? We think of your customer as the subset of your audience. So here you're going to have your broad industry or community, right? That's your big circle here. Within there, you have your potential customers or your total addressable market. And then from there, you have that little slice of your current customers. But these aren't the only people who matter. You also have your the potential people you can reach, like your content consumers. So these are basically the people who will read, watch, consume your content, but they might not necessarily be a customer because part of that could be like, competitors, reporters, analysts. From there, you also have your potential amplifiers. I wanted to say influencers, but that's a little bit I feel like too confusing because then you start thinking about the traditional lifestyle influencer. But I'm talking about amplifiers, which could be anybody. It could be anything. It could be niche publications. It could be your mom talking to you, potential amplifier, right? These are all the people who are in your broader audience. So we have to care about the people in our whole audience, not just the people, with the wallets. So that brings us to audience research, right? How do you influence all these people? How do you get in front of all these people? How do you communicate to them in a meaningful way and at scale? Through audience research. So what is that, right? We talked about how there isn't really a clear stakeholder. There's no standard for which it gets done. It's what is it then? So audience research it's understanding a group of people, like who they are, what they like, how they behave, so that you can make products and services that they actually want and improve how you market it to them, right? It's this process of understanding, making things people want, and improving how you market or communicate to them. Now, we have to say it's not the same as market research. These two are very different, and we really believe they both have a place. They're just very different. How so? So you have market research and audience research. Market research is landscape centric, gives you the lay of the land. Audience research is people centric. It's about the people themselves, right? You use market research to identify a target market. You use audience research to identify and better understand a target audience. Finally, or a couple of things here. For market research, your data sources tend to be things like industry reports, field studies, economic data, even trade publications. But for audience research, your data sources are the people themselves, right? It's the people, like it's how they talk, it's how they behave, it's how they describe, how they self-describe online. And finally, market research is most useful in early strategy, right? When you're trying to identify markets, identify new opportunities for building things. And audience research is most useful for go-to-market strategy, right? Once you have the product, once you have some of these, once you've identified the early potential, now audience research will help you figure out the marketing strategy, right? It'll help you figure out how to position your product, how to talk to your customers, how to think about your content marketing strategy. And now here at SparkToro, our very biased opinion, I suppose, is we really recommend that you use audience research, right? So yes, market research, but also audience research, because this will help you solve real business and marketing problems, not just as a checklist task. You can do this in ways that improve, that reach, resonate, and improve the results of your marketing. And we think that you should measure over testing rather than trying to prove attribution, right? Measure things through testing, see how things are going. Don't just try to prove attribution. All right. And now we got to get into some myths here, right? We got to get into some myths that derail audience research, because you might be thinking about things like, well, can't I just run a survey? Can't I just talk to my customers? Yes and no. So the first myth, you might, but survey data tells us everything.
These photos, Amanda, just
It's part of my whole like do things that don't scale strategy. It's I need some slides that are not just colorful bubbles. I'll just take pictures.
I love it. It's chef's kiss. It's just perfect.
The survey data, right? It's 95% of survey respondents said they read the Wall Street Journal. Is it true? Well, if we look into SparkToro, we can see the influential press and media, and we can see, these are the influential press and media outlets among people with the term marketing director in their profiles, right? So we can see that it's, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, kind of. Here it is. Okay, so we know that it's things like Substack, right? Substack, I think that's interesting. It's more popular now than it was last year, especially among marketing directors. But here you can see, like, sure, Wall Street Journal, but
I had to scroll so far to find the Wall Street Journal because I saw your thing here and I'm like, oh, I'll go find where the Wall Street Journal is. And I was like scrolling for pages and pages until I found, oh yeah, I guess some marketing directors read the Wall Street Journal, but it is not a high number.
It's not. And I like to cite the Wall Street Journal because one, everybody always talks about how they read it, but they don't. But also it's kind of a fun segue into Morning Brew, the newsletter, where, when Alex Lieberman and Austin Reef were college students starting Morning Brew, they started it as a very manual list. Like they passed around a sheet and said, put in your email address and then we'll send you a newsletter. And it was basically founded on this notion that college students were saying like, yeah, I read the Wall Street Journal, or I should at least. And so Morning Brew it's kind of become the Wall Street Journal for millennials at this point,
Yeah.
And so they were addressing this need of where people were saying like, oh, I should read this, or like I do read this. But now people who are saying that might actually be reading Morning Brew.
My favorite survey example. This is, I'm not allowed to have revealed a company, but I tell the story. Amanda's heard me tell the story a lot, but maybe some of you haven't heard it. So early in SparkToro's existence, this company, it's a B2C, they sell a food product. So they're in the consumer space, direct to consumer. They also sell in grocery stores. And I convinced them that they should because we were talking about survey data and they were saying essentially, well, attribution may be challenging, but we can just ask people where they heard about us. And so I said, okay, great. Can you do me a favor? In your how did you hear about us, say Alton Brown and Martha Stewart. Like I want you to add those as options for the answers. Alton Brown had never talked about this product. Martha Stewart had never mentioned this product. But we put them in there. They agreed to add them into the survey responses. And 30% of their customers said, yeah, that's how I heard about them. And I was like, you cannot rely on survey data about how did you hear about us. How did you hear about us is a terrible question. People cannot do it. Fundamentally, it's not reasonable to ask people. It's not because they lie. Nobody who clicked Martha Stewart was lying. They were just like, oh yeah, I've heard of Martha Stewart. I know her. I like her, whatever. Like, sure, that's probably how I heard about you, because they couldn't actually remember how they heard about them. So anyway, don't attribute your budget based on how did you hear about us.
Yep.
I'm not even sure you should ask. I'm not totally sure if there's value in asking.
Our next myth. We know our audience because we know our customers. Well, not really. Like your customers and your audience can still be really different people. Like for one, I was doing a bunch of SparkToro research last night as I was building this presentation, and I was seeing like there are some key differences in people who self-describe as marketing directors and what they're searching for online compared to the data that I found like on people who registered for this webinar. Like I took our registration list and I uploaded it into SparkToro. It was really cool. And so I got to see like the actual keywords that people are searching for on aggregate. Don't worry, it's not your personal stuff. And I got to see a lot of the aggregate kind of influences. And so for one, like search keywords among marketing directors are about ads and PR. Now our customer search keywords, like SparkToro customers specifically, their search keywords tend to be more content marketing specific, right? So like, sure, content marketing is broadly about marketing, but it's very different from somebody who's searching for ad campaigns and PR ideas. Third myth, traffic sources will tell us where to focus, right? Remember, Google's getting all that credit or giving themselves all the credit, right? So we know, look at all this. This is supposedly our referral traffic, like over this past month or so. Our top referrers are supposedly, right, direct, Google, our own blog and email, and then LinkedIn. But I don't really know what to do with this information, right? I mean, this doesn't really inform or change how I'm going to do things anyway. It's sort of this
Yeah, I mean, as we talked about, direct and Google and accounts.google direct and email, right? Those are all of the top four are just hiding what actually drove the person there.
Yeah, exactly. Myth 4, interviews and focus groups are enough. They're enough, right?
I like them. They're useful, but yeah.
Yeah, they're useful, but like not as a thing that like, that's not the thing that you do, right? There are other things you have to do. Like marketing directors, for instance, they have a surprising amount of interest in ORM, sales, customer loyalty, crisis comms, PR. But those topics don't come up in interviews and focus groups, right? I don't know that anyone would tell you that they're passionate about crisis comms unless they work in crisis comms. But
yeah, I think this is one of the things that I love about passively collected data from people's real behavior versus their answers to questions. Because if you say, what's top of mind for you 5 marketing directors, you'll get a lot of good answers, but it will not be comprehensive, and it will tend to be the things that are sort of top of mind for everyone. And so that's stuff that the world is already talking about, as opposed to opportunities that you would not have found.
Yeah. And finally, the last myth, you only need to do research once. People don't change that much, right? I don't know, friends. All right, so remember, this is the influential press and media among people with the term marketing director in their profiles. This is just an example of one thing that does change or has been changing over time. Despite that hype, right, of Substack's over, it's still more popular than it was last year.
With
like
this group of people. Like
with this group
overall,
of
it's less
people.
popular. But
Yeah.
with marketing directors, it's more popular.
Yeah. And if you're marketing to marketing directors, that's important, right? You don't, in a way, that's what you want. You want to find these opportunities that you're like, yes, that's where my target audience is. That's what they're doing. I got to figure out a way to be there, right?
Yeah.
You don't really care what the broader population is doing unless you're marketing to an entire population.
Yeah, I think this is one of the most useful things about audience research versus market research. So market research would say Substack, was rising quickly for like its first 8, 10 years. Then it sort of plateaued, and now thanks to competition and other things, it's down slightly from its highs. And for a lot of marketers, unfortunately, they think, oh, that I should pull back on my whatever spend or my efforts to get into Substack newsletters or my contributions to other people's Substacks, and that you should not do that. You should absolutely not do that. You should go look at whether your audience is doing it. Same thing with AI, right? Like everybody's like, oh, I need to get into ChatGPT and Perplexity and Gemini. Maybe, like,
Maybe.
go look and make sure that you are prioritizing the right one, because it could be that
Yeah.
Pinterest, Reddit, and YouTube are way bigger for your audience than
Yep.
ChatGPT is.
Yep. Exactly. Which brings us to our next topic. So how do you find all this out? Right? How do you actually do the audience research? Well, here is your toolkit. This is all of it. You do all these things. You can do social listening, online monitoring, social media discovery, competitor analysis, community and focus groups, customer and prospect interviews. And by the way, it's pink and blue because I kind of just had this as like the pink things are things that are more qualitative, and the blue things here are more quantitative. I don't know. It made sense when I was making it.
I was going to ask you what was the difference between pink and blue.
Yeah, like interviews are more qualitative, but something like, going through first party data, that's like very like hard metrics, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And how do you do this? Or like can you use one tool to do like multiples of these? Of course. So you can use the same tool multiple ways. For instance, BuzzSumo can help you with these two things, right? You can use BuzzSumo for your social listening, online monitoring, and competitor analysis, right? That's great. You can also use Google for some of these things, right? You can use it for social listening, get some Google alerts. You can use Google Forms to run your own surveys and polls, to analyze search intent analysis, and do your whole website and content data analysis. And of course, come on, guys, VP marketing here. SparkToro can help you with a bunch of these, right? So SparkToro can help you with all of these things. Social listening, social media discovery, competitor analysis. It can help you with community and focus groups, all of this really good stuff. Now, I feel like that's a lot, right? To just say like, hey, like do all of this. This is all the audience research. Like, sure. But like, what can you do with the research? Like, how do you think about the categories or the pillars in which audience research is effective? Or like, what can you learn from it? So one area of audience research that you can really learn from is you can discover behaviors and conversations, right? So like I said, like, sure, you can use SparkToro for this. You can use SparkToro to find the social networks that are more and less popular among your audience, or to find the popular social accounts or subreddits in your niche. Something I like to do is, because I know my audience is on LinkedIn, I have a LinkedIn saved search, right? Or like where I just had I go to the search field and then I filter by posts, latest, past week, and then from a short list of people whose content I really don't want to miss. And so this has become
I
my
have never
default
thought
feed.
to do this. When I saw this in your slide deck, I was like, damn, that is genius. Why don't I have that? I should have like 3 of these. There's like
Yeah,
3 different groups of
yeah,
things. Like I care about the indie game stuff for Snackbar. I care
yeah,
about stuff for SparkToro. Yeah, yeah. This is very
absolutely.
clever. Can you share an example of it? Do you have a URL? Oh,
Of
it's
like,
customized to each user.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can't drop my URL because it'll go to my account.
Right.
But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, like, look on Instagram, you can make a Finsta or like a fake Instagram account, not fake, but like a separate Instagram account for like your business needs. And then it'll, over time, you'll get kind of this feed that's specific to your Instagram, like the content you want there. You can't really do that on LinkedIn. I mean, like you could, but then you'd be some weirdo with a fake account. But in this case, like Rand described, he has a couple of niche interests, or like not niche interests, but like key professional areas. You can save multiples of these lists and just put them in your bookmarks. And so now you'll have like your feed of like, oh, my indie gaming feed, my leadership feed.
Where do you go to start this? Do you go to search to start this?
I do, yeah. Like I go to LinkedIn and I just type in whatever for a search. Like just type in like Rand Fishkin.
Okay.
Just to get to the advanced search. And then at the top you can change those filters or those chips.
I see.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, there's no like actual URL, I don't think, for LinkedIn advanced search. You just have to like do a search. All right. Next area. Oh, see, in SparkToro, you can find subreddits that your audience hangs out in. And Reese says, the chat slowed down as everyone went to go do this. That's so funny. Ryan Stone says, I do this and I put you in and it says no results found. I wonder if like you're filtering, Ryan, for posts, not people, because one thing is, so posts latest past week from member. So like the first one is content type. I use posts so I can see people's posts. And don't worry about the people until your fourth chip or filter. Okay. Sorry. All right. So on SparkToro, you can find influential subreddits. So I know that people with the term marketing director are hanging out in the marketing subreddit, entrepreneur, startups. Well, in the marketing subreddit, these are some really interesting discussions. People are talking about, hey, other departments keep criticizing our marketing, and I'm a department of one. How do I handle this? Right? That's an extremely like specific, highly relevant kind of discussion. Number two, what else can you do like through audience research? You can analyze content and performance, right? So here's an example, or like thinking about how to do audience research. You can analyze content and performance. So this is from our Google Search Console. How Rand pointed out, like a lot of the first searches are like variations of SparkToro, all branded search, but people are searching for like zero-click content. That's how they find us, as they should, because we invented it. Ish. Well, we didn't invent it. We invented the terminology.
You named it. How about that? Yeah.
I named this baby. Finally, you can learn directly from people. And we do this all the time at SparkToro. Yeah. Like we really, really value the feedback that we get on our tool, on our product, on our marketing.
I think it's a superpower to have people from product and marketing talking to customers, not just customer service, talking to customers. That's my soapbox, and I'm going to stay on it.
Yeah. All right. So how do you use SparkToro for this? So since we're coming up on the end here, I'm going to give you a sneak peek at what SparkToro actually shows you. This is literally about you. So this is when I took we had like 1,100 registrants to this webinar, which is awesome. I uploaded it into SparkToro to see like what custom insights we can get. So this is about all of you guys. So our audience here, pretty kind of, it's, mostly male, if anything, but pretty good split here. We know the top industries that you all are in.
Quite diverse in terms of industry.
It's really diverse.
Not just marketing people.
Yeah, a lot
Very
of like
cool.
Info, tech and services, hospital and healthcare. Like that's super interesting to see how diverse this is. We can see like people's kind of salary distribution and years of experience. I think this is from LinkedIn. Is that right, Rand?
Yep. Yeah, yep. This is all LinkedIn matching. Mm-hmm.
We can also see social networks. Remember, I mentioned that you can see the social networks that are more and less used by your audience relative to the average web user. So, for instance, YouTube here, it's number one. A lot of people use YouTube, no question. But of people, of you all in this chat, all of you who registered, you don't use YouTube more than the average web user, What
Right.
you do is you use Reddit, TikTok, and GitHub
Yeah.
quite a bit more than the average web user. Sorry, I'm just going to answer the question here. We're coming up on time, but we still have the floor for the next half hour. So I have a few more
And
minutes here.
we can do Q&A for anyone who can stay. And of course, if you need to run, please run. Of course, you'll get the recording in your email. You'll get the deck. The recording will include the Q&A, so you can come back.
Yeah. And it's funny. Amanda Cruiser here says, clearly we hate Facebook. Right. We use, all of us here in the chat, friends, we don't use Facebook as much as the average web user. That's for darn sure.
Yep.
All right. And now search and AI tools. These are the search and AI tools that we use here. So a lot of us are using ChatGPT. A lot of us, and we're really using it. We are using Yahoo less than the average web user, right? So this is something I like here too, is seeing that we use archive.is more than the average web user, because we know how to get behind paywalls if we need to.
I think that's archive.org.
Is that? Oh, I thought it was .is. No.
I think if you hover on it, it'll say.
Okay.
I think it's the Internet
It'll
Archive.
say. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Which is no surprise, right? Marketers and content creators use archive a lot more than most. Yeah.
Yeah. Kathy asks, how would you know that we use these when at Reddit you might use a different email than on LinkedIn?
Oh, we are not. Yeah, we are not using the email to connect to. We don't know what email people log into Reddit with, or anything like that. So the way that it works is it has. I'll try and give the very fast version of this, but there's a video you can watch if you want more. Essentially, it's clickstream data, which comes from Dados, plus LinkedIn data, which we buy from LeadFuse. So a few 100 million accounts there. And then Google search data, so the keywords and the domains that come up for them. And then fourth, our own crawl of other social platforms, including YouTube and podcasts and the open web. And then a bunch of math behind the scenes to marry those in predictive ways that the clickstream data can then validate for us. So that's the modeling behind SparkToro.
Cool. That is helpful. Okay. And then these are the trending keywords among us here. So I thought trending keywords would be fun because this is basically the stuff that we've been searching for over this past quarter, or was it last quarter, Rand?
Last quarter, yeah.
A lot of us were searching for like best mining base location, Brittany Mahomes' siblings, right? These are just kind of funny to see, because this was very different from the general profile of marketing director, which was it's just funny to see, right? Like, I think it kind of goes to show too, like how unique our community is, and like how
this is going to be because the group that was analyzed is small and quite diverse in behavior and background. What you tend to see in trending keywords are things that are popular broadly. So like these tend to be like topics of interest in the world rather than things that only marketers care about.
Right.
Yeah.
And then here we go. So as we think about the place that audience research has within our marketing strategies, right, and where market research lives, I like to think of it as, for market research, it serves as your map, and then you continue with audience research, which is your compass that keeps you in the right direction. Then you have your binoculars, which is SparkToro, and then your hat, which is your marketing strategy. I don't know. This is not an AI generated photo, so I had to just figure out like these things all have a place. They do. They really do. You need a hat on your expedition. Okay, so now what? All right, what do we do with this now? Okay, we've given you a lot. We've talked about a lot of the here's why you need to do audience research. Here's how to do it. Here are these 11 different ways. What to do now? Okay, now start with 1 to 2 methods. Just pick 1 or 2. Don't wait for perfect data. It's not always going to be perfect. Build a regular cadence, right? So commit to doing something quarterly. Maybe it's going to be a quarterly SparkToro search. Maybe it'll be quarterly customer interviews. Maybe it's both. Like, why wouldn't it be both, right? And then share the insights. Do not keep them siloed. The most important thing you can do really is, I like to say, like, don't surprise your bosses. Don't surprise your colleagues. Keep them in the loop. And I have a deck for this. I'll show you my big deck. Just kidding. It's a regular sized deck. It's not that big. I do have a deck that'll help you present your audience research highlights. This is, you can make a copy of this. I think you can find this on your website, on our website too, on our blog. So that will help you like figure out like how to, where to screenshot things, where they live, how to present them to your team. And then finally, I will leave you with one framework so that after you do all of your audience research, you can then put it into content ideas. Have one framework for you, but you got to read my blog post for, for the rest of the frameworks. I think I have like 5 or 6 of them in the blog post. Wait, I got to put it here. Content ideas, blog post. Sorry, I should be more professional. Okay. There it is.
That does look professional.
It looks really good, right? Okay.
Yeah, good job, Goldcast.
This is the problem solutions framework. So describe your problem. Explain the stakes or the consequences if you don't address the problem. Provide 3 to 5 actually practical or tactical solutions. Include steps for implementation. And add some measurement criteria for success. So I made a fake example last night. This was late. This is specific to me and probably just a small percentage of you. As a parent, right? Packing lunch for your kid takes too much time and work. That's the problem that I have. Now, what are the stakes or the consequences? Well, paying for a hot lunch is expensive and your kid is picky anyway, and they might not even eat all of it. So what is the point in paying for it? So what is your solution? It might be suck it up and do it anyway. Listen to my new podcast, Meme Team, while you get organized. How do you get organized? Make a spreadsheet of your kids' like 12 favorite items and then randomize it to create a menu. And then finally, here's a measurement of criteria for success. Make your kid help you and then slowly delegate one small task at a time, right? So that's there you have your problem and solutions framework. Okay, if you have any questions, support@sparktoro.com. If you have hate mail, don't worry, I read every single one. This you can email me at amanda@sparktoro.com. And with that, I forgot Rand had a conflict. Ooh, okay. If anyone has questions, I can address them here. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. And yes, you will get these slides. Just to reiterate, the recording is going to be available on this very page a few minutes after this ends. I will also send you that recording and your slide and these slides. And finally, if you have any friends that you want to send this content to, they still have to sign up because you need a magic link to enter the webinar. So just send them the registration page. They can still sign up. It's still going to be free. Alex is here. Hey, Alex Foe. And Dave, you're a real one. Also kind of in the chat. Josh Ellis asks, are all LLMs accounted for besides ChatGPT in the audience usage report? I think you're asking about like when I showed the search and AI tools that people use. Yes, the other LLMs are accounted for, like Perplexity is there, Claude. Yeah, they are there. But we do also use ChatGPT's API to help us with some of the content idea, like idea generators. So you will see that once you run some SparkToro queries. Abid asks, would you recommend any more resources online to learn more about audience research? Mostly SparkToro. There is a blog post version of this presentation that's extremely meaty. I published that earlier this year. It is a really good starting point, especially because I do specifically mention the other tools that are useful in conducting audience research, like how you could use BuzzSumo, the place that like keyword research tools like Ahrefs has in audience research. I'm also going to say Ahrefs, like they have great content about content marketing in general, and I'm sure they have some stuff to say about audience research as well. So that's a good one. a couple other areas or ways I would think about audience research too is think about the broad categories of how people find things, and then if you can learn more about those things. So for instance, Google search, right? Google search is that's how people find things. Think about the things you can use from Google that are free, like Google Trends, for instance, that is free, that can help to inform your audience research. And then thank you, Robert, for asking for that link. I'm dropping it here in the ticker too. Audience research guide. And then I'm probably going to take clips from this webinar and put them into that blog post. Cool. I don't think I saw any questions in the Q. Oh, I did see there are questions in the Q&A. Okay, I'm gonna see which ones here are. I'm gonna sort by most upvotes. Okay. Carolina asks, if attribution is dead, how do we approach reporting by marketing channel? Should we approach it by platform instead of traditional marketing channels? That's interesting. Well, I think our overall point of view is think about how you can look at measurement and incremental lift, not just attribution by channel to channel. So things like if you're able to test a certain campaign or do a certain campaign or test, or I don't want to say test, that's too complicated, or too let's just say if you're able to do a certain marketing campaign, can you then look at overall lift in traffic, in conversions, how people are finding you? Can you look back at things and like what do you have in place that enables you to look back on campaigns and know, oh, that was impactful? So for instance, for us, really hard to get to track ROI of attending an event, right? Or like having a booth or speaking at a conference. But for us, we mark on our calendars, obviously, when we're going to be at these events. And I'll know if we have a nice lift in SparkToro searches or more signups the day after I speak at a conference, then I can reasonably assume that it was because of that conference that we got the little boost. Okay, so David's asking, it seems like Amanda and Rand have been publishing on the SparkToro blog more often lately. How are you all thinking about the company blog fitting into your marketing mix these days? And how does that influence the type of audience research that you're doing? Oh, that's a fun question. I think about the way that I try to think about this is I really try to blog as often as I can. If I don't blog for a while, it's usually because I'm just too like busy and I've just been doing other things. But I try to do it as often as I can because I like to think of it as here's the permanent place where this thought resides. You know, like I might have like a hot take on LinkedIn or something, it might do well, but then that to me isn't great. That posted well on LinkedIn. That to me is a signal of, oh, people care about this topic. They feel seen or they want more information on this. I'm going to put a little more thought and like refine this writing a little bit better and put it into a blog post. And then that way, if in the future, and hopefully people are searching, if in the future people are searching for this content, then they'll find it on the blog. So I see it as like this kind of long-term play. And how does it influence the research that I'm doing? I think it's very fluid. Like a lot of what I do, a lot of the research that I do informs the blog, but then the blog itself informs the research in that once I do a blog post and then I start seeing how it performs, then I realize, oh, people really needed this. Like for instance, this audience research guide that I wrote, like now it ranks really high in search. A lot of people find it. I think a lot of people are finding it organically. And that really showed me like there really is like a dearth of content on audience research and I got to do more of it. Let's go back to the chat here. All right. How do you look for data on audiences that don't have a clear job function? Good question. So the different kinds of SparkToro searches you can run are not just specific to how somebody might self-describe online. Like that's only one factor. So let me take you to my dashboard here. Folks are still here. How do you share the screen? Okay. No. Why don't I know how to share my screen all of a sudden? Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. This is so annoying. Okay. Ah. All right. So you can do different kinds of searches. You can search for your audience based on the keywords they are searching for. So it's not going to be a job title, but somebody might be searching for things like how not to kill indoor plants, right? That doesn't say anything about your job, but it says everything about your pain point. You can search by people who visit a certain website. So maybe people who are searching, who go to the website Morning Brew, that is one search you can do. You can do profile contains, how people self-describe. You can do visits the URL, which is really cool because this was how I got some SparkToro customer data or customer insights, which was, I can run an analysis of people who go to sparktoro.com, but that's going to be different from people who go to sparktoro.com/product/dashboard, because people who come to this dashboard are users of our tool. That's not the same person who's coming to our homepage to scope us out. So that's going to be really helpful where you don't have to do this for your SaaS company, but like if you have a specific URL, we can now crawl that. And then finally, custom audience, you can upload a list. These are some existing ones that I have. You can upload a list, like the registration list was like over just around 1,000 people. It depends on like, is 1,000 people like indicative of the customer base? I don't know, right? I kind of say like, try it anyway, and then email us if you don't like what you see. Like email us if you're like, I don't know, like this doesn't make sense. We're happy to help. And then the thing I want to show here, am I allowed to do this? I'm allowed. Well, Rand and Casey aren't here, so dads are not here. I can do whatever I want. We have conversational queries. This is really cool. So if you go to custom audiences and then describe your audience, you can describe your audience in conversational language, and then we will basically run a custom report for you. So maybe it's like, my audience is interested in fitness and longevity, but they're not bodybuilders, right? So this is a certain type of fitness-oriented person, right? They're interested in fitness, longevity. Maybe they're thinking about protein, but they're not thinking about like, how can I gain 100 pounds of muscle? But they're not a bodybuilder. Let's just try this. So now the tool is thinking, and it's going to give a custom report based on this. Okay. This will be the last sort of demo thing that I offer, because I feel like I'm losing you. Okay, looks like you're describing people who prioritize maintaining fitness and healthy habits, blah, blah, blah. Here, behavioral breadcrumbs decoded. Click the button below to save and view the data. Let's go. All right, so it's loading. So these are the people interested in fitness and longevity, not so much bodybuilding. It's kind of interesting. Gender and employer industries are still loading, but we can already see the social networks. So the social networks that this audience uses, they really use Medium more than the average web user. They use Pinterest, X, Quora, TikTok more than the average web user. They're really using ChatGPT and archive.org. Here are some of the websites that they frequent. Found My Fitness, longevity.technology. We have some hidden gems like primalkitchen.com. We know their podcasts, their YouTube channels, right? This is the content that they consume or are influenced by. And these are their highest affinity keywords. So these are the keywords that signal highest affinity with them. So they're curious about tennis equipment for beginners, right? Thigh exercises without using equipment. Gosh, these are so specific. I love that. These are still loading. Susan is asking, does this work across countries? It only works in North America and the UK. So US, Canada, and UK. We hope to roll out in other regions at some point, but so far it's just those regions. Oh, here. So gender, it's interestingly enough, it is mostly women who are interested in fitness and longevity, right? Let's see if I can go to search keywords. Yeah, so these are the keywords. Oh, these are the keywords that they're searching for online. They're searching for tennis equipment for beginners. That's so interesting. And then we can start to see things like, sorry, here's the last thing I'll show you. Relevant topics and content ideas. Linda's asking, can you segment data by gender? I don't think so, no. Oh, sorry, I wasn't laughing at you, Linda. I was laughing at the next question from Tematope. The men want to die. It's just funny. So some relevant topics here would be things like holistic health approaches, strength training techniques, nutritional supplements. So you can imagine these as like the kind of starting point for your keyword research. So yeah, with that, like I said, any questions on the tool, please email us at support@sparktoro.com. Hate mail goes to me, Amanda@sparktoro.com. And yeah, that's all we have for now. To the 81 of you who are still here, thank you for joining us. Thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you soon. Email us, pop in the chat. Chantel. Okay, bye friends. See you next time.